All right, so in this problem, we're looking at x approaching negative infinity for this rational function that also includes an exponent within this denominator. So since we're approaching negative infinity, I'm going to actually plug that in to think through this. So 2 times negative infinity minus 6 times negative infinity cubed over 6 times negative infinity minus e to the power of negative infinity. Now there's a couple things that we have to keep in mind here while we're thinking through this. First of all, a negative value raised to an odd power will be negative. So negative infinity times negative infinity times negative, that's going to give me a negative here when I cube this. So the numerator, I'm just going to rewrite a little bit as negative 2 infinity. This we just said would become negative infinity cubed, but since we're multiplying by a negative 6, that's going to change to positive 6 infinity to the third power. Now, as far as the denominator here, we need to remember some exponent rules. If I have something raised to a negative exponent, for instance, if I had x to the negative 2, I could rewrite that as 1 over x squared. So we're going to apply that idea here. So I have 6 times negative infinity is negative 6 infinity. And then here I really have minus 1 over e to the power of infinity. So this term, this 1 over e to the infinity, that's 1 divided by a really, really, really giant number. Anytime that I am dividing by something huge, dividing by infinity, that's really just approaching 0. It's becoming so tiny that it's not even going to impact what's going on with the rest of this expression anymore. So this is going to 0. And then in my numerator, I have infinity and the infinity cubed. So even though this one is negative, it is so much less important than the infinity to the third power that I don't even need to include this part anymore either. So now let's simplify this a little further. I have 6 times infinity to the third power over negative 6 times infinity. So which of these is having a greater impact? Infinity to the third power. So the numerator has a greater impact. So that means since the numerator is larger, we are in fact approaching, if I look at just infinity cubed over infinity, those are kind of simplifying out to be infinity. But then because I have a positive over a negative, 6 over negative 6, that will simplify to just negative infinity as my answer.